Welcome to my channel. I'm Scott, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the process of valuing MP Materials stock by analyzing their financial statements and dissecting their financial ratios so we can determine if it's a buy or a sell. Let's get started with the model. This is a mid-cap company, 4.8 billion market cap. They're trading at $29 a share, and they have 163 million shares outstanding. MP Materials produces rare earth materials. It has two segments, materials and magnetics. The materials segment owns and operates the Mountain Pass rare earth mine and processing facility. That mine is located in California. The magnetics segment produces magnetic precursor products. It was founded in 2017, headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's look at their financials. The way you value a company is you estimate the free cash flows into the future, and then you discount those numbers back to today's value. That's what we're doing in this video. And free cash flow is cash flow from operations minus capital expenditures. They did have positive free cash flow in 2022, but negative after that. Net income is the profit or loss on the income statement. It's revenue minus expenses. That looked pretty good in 2022, 300 million, down to 24 million, then negative after that. Revenue is the sales of the company, and they're going backwards. Their revenue goes down each year from $500 million to 216 million. We estimated 4 years of future free cash flows. We also estimated a terminal value, which is all cash flows past year 4, that's 6.3 billion. We discounted those numbers back to today using weighted average cost of capital. We got to value the company at $4.9 billion. We divide that by 163 million shares. And we got a calculated stock price of $30. They're trading at $29, so they're trading at a 3% discount. It's a buy according to the model. If you put $10,000 into this company when they started trading in June 2020, after about a year and a half, you would have been close to $60,000. But if you're still holding on, your $10,000 will be $30,000. Still a pretty good return on investment. So to summarize, I have them trading at a 3% discount, ranking 5 out of 10. I don't think I would buy it. Short term and long term, 3 out of 10. Ratios don't look so great, 2 out of 10. A really poor price to free cash flow, over 100. Financials, 1 out of 10, because they get worse each year. Look at revenue, keeps going down. It did go up a little bit from 2024 to the trailing 12 months, but since 2022, it's down 59%. Let's take a look at their first quarter presentation slides to learn a little more about the company. They highlight some things in their two divisions, materials and magnetics. They had their second highest quarterly production of REO. REO is rare earth oxide. They have ceased sales of concentrate to China. So that's building up their inventory. They're stockpiling their inventory. In the magnetics division, they commenced commercial metal deliveries. They generated 5.2 million in revenue and positive adjusted EBITDA. And their commercial magnetic production is on track for year end. Revenue in 1Q was 61 million, which is higher than last year of 49 million. It was almost identical to last quarter of 61 million. Adjusted EBITDA is negative each quarter. Same thing for adjusted EPS. They operate in upstream and midstream. Upstream is the beginning part of the process, midstream is the middle part, and downstream is the final part, right before it gets to the end user. In the first quarter, 12,200 metric tons of volume, which is more than last year, 11,100. But sales are down. They did produce a lot, but sales are down quite a bit, only 6,200 metric tons, about 30% lower from last year. Prices have gone up a little bit. It's $4,800 per metric ton. Last year was $4,300, last quarter $4,700. In the midstream portion, volume has gone up a lot, 131 metric tons to 563. Sales volume went up a lot from last year. It's flat from last quarter. Last quarter 468, this quarter 464. And then in the materials segment, revenue is down from last quarter, but up from last year. Last year 49 million, now 56 million. EBITDA is positive 3.8 million. Last quarter was negative. Last year, it was even better at 7.3. With lower revenue, they had better EBITDA. They finally got some revenue in magnetics. It was nothing in the past. Now it's 5.2 million. And positive EBITDA, positive $500,000. Here are the costs for the first quarter. The dark blue are the fixed costs. The light blue is variable. So you can see the cost is over $60 per kilogram, but the target is a little over 40. The actuals are much higher. Fixed cost actuals are more than double. Variable is about double, maybe a little less than double. Here's the P&L for the first quarter of 25, first quarter of 24, and this is the fourth quarter of 24. So revenue is up from last year, down from last quarter. It's $60.8 million. Cost of revenue $49 million, SG&A $24 million. So their expenses are higher. $95 million of expenses, $60 million of revenue. So they have an operating loss. So they always have an operating loss, and of course a net loss as well. Although, wait, in the first quarter of 24, they had a net gain of $16.5 million. That was because of the gain of $46 million on the extinguishment of debt, which is a non-cash item. The way this shows up on the income statement, extinguishment of debt, is obviously when they get rid of debt, but the amount is the difference between a fair value of the debt and the amount of the debt on the balance sheet. And it could be a gain or loss depending on those two numbers. They actually lowered their shares outstanding. Last year, 175 million, now 164 million. That's pretty interesting. You would think their shares would go up. Here's how they calculate EBITDA. You start with your net loss. They had a net loss of 23 million. You see last year, they had a net gain of 16 million, but that extinguishment of debt is reversed out. So it was a gain on the balance sheet. That's why they minused it out here. If it was a loss in the balance sheet, they would add it back here. You can see adjusted EBITDA is not that much different, even though net income and net loss is much different. This page, they talk about their shares outstanding. The reason shares went down is because there was a conversion of 2026 notes. Shares went down 12.2 million that year from that conversion. Let's take a look at the company on Simply Wall Street. Its last price, $31, 4.8 billion market cap. It's up a lot, up 19% in the past week, up 124% in the past year. It looks like it was probably a SPAC because it started out at $10 in June 2020. And it did really well from the start. From June 2020 to April 2022, a little less than 2 years, it went up a lot, 500%, close to $60. But that was the highest point ever. It's only dropped since then, not even close to that level. It looks like it bottomed out at $11, pretty close to its IPO price in August 2024. A great time to pick it up. And since August 2024, which was a little less than a year ago, it's done pretty well. It has moved up and down a lot, but now it's currently trading at about a 2-year high. Their revenue back in 2022 was $400 million. It dropped to $170 million in 2024. But you can see the forecast is for their revenue to go up to over $600 million by 2027. I definitely think they can hit these targets, possibly more. They were pretty much debt-free in 2018. Then they started adding some debt in 2021, $700 million. They're currently at their peak over $900 million, which isn't that good because they're cash flow negative. Their equity is a little higher than their debt, which I guess is good. And their cash is a little lower than their debt. They do have a lot of cash, almost enough to pay off all their debt. In the past year, lots of insider selling, only one buy, but the sells are much bigger, 2.6 million shares, 500,000. 70% of the companies owned by institutions, 10% by insiders, 8% by private companies, 8% by public companies, and 4% by the general public. BlackRock is the biggest shareholder at 9.5%. The CEO of the company owns 8.5% of the stock, B of A 3%, BNP 1%, and to round out the list, Siegel Bryant at 0.7%. Their employee count has gone up from 250 in 2020 to 800 currently. And the ticker trades on the Mexican Bolsa, New York Stock Exchange, Deutsche Börse, and Sao Paulo Bolsa. So if you want a copy of my discounted cash flow model, click on the video in the top right corner.